I guess the other piece of that is just trying to make sure that I'm, being diligent with measuring some of these qualities too for those older athletes, so that I can kind of keep my finger on the pulse if anything is diminishing and they might need a little bit more volume or intensity in certain things at certain times of the year, so that they're not losing that step. But it's challenging, but I think it's a fun challenge to try to give these athletes as much longevity in their career as possible, while performing at their highest.
One of the things you mentioned is just the importance of integrating with the skills coach or the coaching staff to make sure the players are getting some of those touches on the ice during the year. And I mentioned earlier that you gave a great presentation at our NHL conference last year to all the strength and conditioning coaches, and in that you had mentioned some research that you had done in looking at how speed changes throughout the course of the season, and then also proposed a few different options for how to integrate speed training on the ice into the schedule, because obviously ice time is in high demand, and the coaches have a lot of things that they want to accomplish with the time that they have available with the players. First, can you talk a little bit about what trends in speed you saw over the course of the season, and why that may be? And then secondly, talk about what you would recommend as kind of a minimum effective dose for players to continue to prioritize speed development in season.
Yeah, so when I first started kind of getting more interested in the speed side of hockey and the skating side of it, I just started to before I started intervening with anything on the ice, I just started measuring it. So we did our on ice testing battery with our university teams at Brock. When I started, I would do it 3 times per year. So I would do it in the fall. I would do it right before kind of our Christmas break, right before exams, and then I would do it again at the end of the season. So I'd kind of get 3 time points throughout the year, and very consistently for the first kind of couple of years that I would do that is they would be skating their fastest times at the start of the year, and then we would see some of those speed qualities kind of drop off a little bit as they're going, because at the start of the year they're very lean, they're very fit, they've been training hard all summer, and then as the season starts, just the volume of everything, both off the ice, in terms of training, in terms of academic load, in terms of social things, plus the volume of games and practices would just kind of tap into their recovery, and they were probably losing some of their physical qualities too. So we'd see them slowing down toward the end of the season when really we want to see them skating their fastest. When I started to do some of the on ice speed training with these teams, we were able to mitigate a lot of that, and we were seeing them skate their fastest at the end of the year. So how I kind of implemented it in that organization is we would do once a week, usually on Mondays, because Mondays were more of our skill development days. I would go out on the ice and start practice with the team. I would have the first kind of 20 minutes or so, and I'd warm them up, and then we'd spend 10 to 15 minutes doing on ice speed training, and it's very simple. If people came and watched, like, they'd be very unimpressed because it's so so simple. But a lot of it is just skating fast in straight lines, without pucks, with a lot of rest periods. So we were able to accomplish a lot in that small piece of practice every week, just by nature of consistency. So I was very fortunate to have coaches that were open to it and willing to allow me to do it. But I made sure that I measured pretty consistently. So when I started doing that, I started measuring every 4 to 6 weeks instead of 3 times per year, to get kind of my finger on the pulse, to make sure if these coaches were giving me ice time and were allowing me to do this, I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was working, to hold myself a little bit more accountable. And sure enough, we saw improvements in skating times with these athletes throughout the year. So it doesn't have to be like a huge, crazy amount of ice time dedicated to it. Even 5 to 10 minutes after a quick warm up drill. Can you get in 4 to 6 high quality skating sprints in from 10 to 30 meters, or maybe a couple flies in that? And for a lot of athletes, that can be enough stimulus if you're supporting it with the off ice pieces to see improvements in their skating speed.
Well, I think this